Hello there everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've done a video connected to news, which is fair. I was on holiday and then I really haven't gotten back into the rhythm of things here yet. But the 1st of August saw some major news stories here in Russia, and I want to talk about both of them hopefully briefly today. Now the first one, and the one that kind of affects us here the most, is the blockage of YouTube. Now, technically YouTube isn't blocked in Russia. It has just been throttled to such an extreme degree that it's basically unusable. And for months now, probably even more than months, over a year, 2 years at this point in time, the Russian government has been promising or threatening to block YouTube. They have been whispering about it. They have been dropping hints that that's what they're going to do. But then earlier this year, there were a few situations where I think there were some, if I remember correctly, some outages in YouTube, but the government just said it was like, oh, it's Google's not here to take care of their equipment, so it's falling into disrepair, and that's the reason for it. And at the end of July, or maybe in the middle of July, there was another situation where YouTube basically just slowed way down. People weren't able to load video in 4K, which again is not the end of the world, and the government officials came out and they said that, like, oh well, it's just, again, it's the equipment, it's getting old, it's, you know, Google's not doing something with the cache, the Google cache, I don't remember. Anyway, that was all a lie, because on the 1st of August YouTube just stopped working. And the first period of time, the government came out and they were like, oh, yep, see, we told you the equipment is failing. But then literally, like, the politicians just all came out and were like, yeah, we told you we're going to block Google. So anyway, long story short, the Russian government blocked Google, although in the beginning they pretended that they weren't the ones actually doing it, because, surprise, surprise, it's a wildly unpopular move. Realistically, 80 to 85% of the Russian population uses YouTube. And the question, I guess, is why would they go and block it? Well, a lot of people have said this because there's sort of political content from foreign agents who are outside of the country. There are videos that don't fit their particular narrative. And I'm sure that's part of it, but the percentage of the 80 to 85% of Russians inside Russia who are watching those types of videos, it's a very small segment. Most people in Russia, just like outside of Russia, are not watching YouTube for political content. They're watching it for, if they're children, cartoons, or popular vloggers like the Mr. Beast or the Russian equivalent. They are watching cooking shows. They are watching travel channels. They're watching DIY and how to fix certain things. They're watching the types of videos that most people watch, gaming and film reviews, things of that nature. So, realistically, there's really no clear reason as to why they decided to block YouTube, but I would guess it has to do with the fact that it's twofold. One would be that they don't control YouTube. So, and I know that sounds silly because, like, okay, they can not worry about it because not that many people are watching certain videos. But one reason ultimately comes down to the fact that they still don't have a filter system in place there. And that kind of connects to the second reason why they would want to block YouTube. And that would be because they want to try to get Russians to, it's starting to rain, fantastic. I was hoping to avoid this, but evidently it's not going to be the case. So I'm going to find a tree to get under here in a second. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, they want Russian users of YouTube to migrate over to the Russian equivalents, which would be RuTube and VK Video, and even maybe Yandex.Zen. Now, there's a few reasons why that's just not going to happen. One, monetization. I realize that for a while now, since YouTube pulled out of Russia, there has been no monetization for YouTube, for Russian vloggers, unless they have a bank account outside and they have listed their channel as, like, not in Russia, at which point in time they could still receive monetization. However, most Russian YouTubers, their audience is in Russia, and unless you are watching on a VPN in Russia, you're not going to see advertising with your videos, which means that the videos are not monetized. So, regardless, monetization has not been a thing here in Russia, but the monetization practice in RuTube is completely non-existent, and RuTube in general is just a horrible experience, just a horrible user interface. There are very few videos, and like the top videos, even of the largest content creators, have just ridiculously low numbers compared to YouTube. RuTube's a horrible experience, even though it's relatively not that much younger than YouTube itself. We have VK Video, which is connected to Russia's equivalent to Facebook, Vkontakte. And VK Video is actually a viable option, I would say. They've done a pretty good job of developing VK Video, and quite a few people do use it, especially with the youth. However, a lot of the reason people started moving over there is because VK started paying content creators from YouTube, and basically, I don't want to say bribing, but basically just being like, hey, if you stop putting your videos up on YouTube and you move them over to VK Video and you become exclusive to us, we'll pay you a bonus. And so clearly a lot of those content creators who were probably not being monetized on YouTube anyway took that cash and moved over to VK Video. And as a result, there are a lot of mostly comedy programs, although I think there are a few connected to interviews, things of that nature. I don't think that, though, in the long term, it's still going to see the type of growth or popularity that YouTube has. I mean, like, just YouTube's a giant. And VK Video also doesn't have the greatest when it comes to monetization. If I remember correctly, it's basically like it's like tips at a restaurant where all of the money gets counted together and then it's kind of dished out appropriately. Anyway, whatever. It's not important. Monetization with Russian video hosting sites is not great. And Yandex.Zen does have videos, but it's mostly like a blog format website. So I just don't see a lot of people. You can have videos there, and I'm sure some people do upload it, but realistically, there is no alternative to YouTube, and there's not going to be. So yeah, this move, nobody's really understood it. It seems like kind of a shot to the foot because realistically, the rain has stopped, so I'm going to move back to my pacing. Realistically, people are still going to use YouTube. That said, there are a few ways to access YouTube here in Russia still, which if you're watching this video is pretty obvious because I will have uploaded it. So the one way, which has not been affected at all, is mobile networks. So all the Russian mobile networks, to my knowledge, YouTube works completely fine on them. There have even been some sort of conspiracy theories floating around that some of the people who were involved in passing the sort of blocking of the blocking of YouTube, not legislation, but that whole idea, that they might have ties to the mobile carriers, because I'm willing to bet mobile carriers saw a decent uptick in the amount of mobile packages that they were selling. Like basically, if everybody realizes that YouTube you cannot watch on your regular computer anymore, because you can't, it's just like the video goes to load and it just loads and loads and nothing happens. If you are able to load a video, it is at the lowest resolution, and even then it just stutters along and stops half the time. So you're basically, if you're not using the second option, which I'm going to mention, which I already mentioned earlier, if you're just going with the regular, like, I don't know how to use technology mode, your phone is the only way to access YouTube. And so I would imagine that people who before maybe didn't have unlimited plans or things of that nature are going to be bumping that up, and that's going to be a little extra revenue boost to the mobile operators. So you can see why maybe there would be some conspiracy theories developing there. Okay, the other method to accessing YouTube, and the reason that this seems like really strange from a government point of view, is VPNs. Now, VPNs aren't illegal in Russia, but the day before YouTube stopped working, realistically for the most part, they passed a law which made it illegal to advertise or promote any information about VPNs online. So they didn't make VPNs illegal per se, but they've made sharing information and explaining to people how to get a VPN or use a VPN, basically, like, nah, you can't do that. So, yeah, VPNs work fine. But again, the reason that this seems really odd and like counterintuitive, if you block YouTube, most people are just going to switch on their VPNs and leave it there. And if the whole point of blocking YouTube was to prevent people from watching like inappropriate content, then it really backfires, because with VPN you can watch anything. You can watch all of the blocked channels theoretically that they don't want you watching. And beyond YouTube, if you leave your VPN on, you can access all of those dangerous websites like the BBC or other sources of independent Western journalism. You know, think of that what you will. The other reason that the blockage of YouTube is a little odd is because when you have the VPN on, it remonetizes the videos. So all of those, assuming that, you know, again, with YouTube, maybe they wanted to block access to political content, right? Certain foreign agents here in Russia, right? Dangerous actors, the fifth column. If the goal was to make it so people couldn't watch it, and so that you were cutting off their ad revenue, because it's possible they could have been donating money to those people, with a VPN, you get ads before the videos, which means you're basically remonetizing those same people. You're basically giving them money back. It's a very odd situation, but there's maybe one reason for it, and it has to do with what was mentioned by I believe a member of the Gosduma. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I will put it down here at the bottom of the screen, somewhere down here. A day after the blockage happened, so I believe on the 2nd of August, or maybe it was on the 1st, I can't remember at this point in time, he came out and basically said that, in slightly different words, so I'm paraphrasing here, so, you know, you can point this out, but basically that people should prepare for the blockage of Google, Android, and iOS. Now, the blockage of Google I get, and to some degree this may also be part of the role of, or part of the reasoning behind blocking YouTube, which is that Google has long basically said that they're not going to block access to certain things that the Russian government says that they should block access to, certain YouTube videos or certain websites, while in turn blocking access to certain Russian video creators and certain Russian websites in other countries. So, like, that's definitely part of it, right? I get that. But the part where he said that they were planning on blocking Android and iOS, first of all, I don't even know how that's possible. I suppose that they could just block, make it so that updates didn't go through the through the App Store or through Google Play Store. But I really don't think, I mean, maybe it's just a stupid thing, right? The politicians here are, you know, they say a lot of dumb stuff, just like in any country. But here, I swear to God, sometimes they're on another level. Threatening or alluding to the fact that basically all mobile phones in the countries would effectively become bricks, just like bricking everybody's mobile phone, that's a wild move. So, I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm assuming, again, it was just a dumb thing that was said. Although the possibility of fully blocking Google, that's also a tough one, because a lot of people use Gmail. There are a lot of Google services, just even search services that people still use. So I don't know if they'll fully block Google, but this is definitely a clear sign that the Russian government is planning to cut off more Western internet services. That said, like I said, you can use a VPN. A lot of people use VPNs. The government is combating VPNs, but rest assured, as a foreigner who lives in Russia, I have used a VPN now for a number of years because, well, since the start of the war, a lot of websites that I need to access things like, for example, banking or just things connected to connections I have back home, I can only access them through a VPN. So I will still be here, even though YouTube has basically been, I don't know, like, I can't think of the term, but it's been slowed down to a glacial pace and only usable through a VPN, just because I need to access stuff outside of this country. I will still be here. So for better or worse, love me or hate me, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So that's it. YouTube's the big one. Obviously, it has had lots of people talking. Probably more so than the other news story. A little bit of a jump here from where we just were. The other news story, and the one which I'm not going to get into because it's a mess and it has just riled people up on all sides. There are some people who are happy with it, but most people seem to be kind of very belligerent about this topic, regardless of their political beliefs, and that would be the prisoner exchange. That said, though, it was really kind of a big deal, and if you haven't really looked into it, then I recommend you do it. I know for a lot of people it just kind of was a blip on the radar, but it was a big deal here. And realistically, it should be a big deal, especially to citizens of the United States and Germany, because those were the two countries where, aside from Russia, most of the prisoners were connected to. The UK to some degree as well. But like I said, I'm not going to get into it. If somebody's really interested in it, or if I see a lot of people really interested in it, then maybe when in the coming future, when I do a live stream, I can discuss some of those things there. But realistically, it is a can of worms. It's a very touchy subject. Not for me personally, but I just really don't want to deal with an avalanche of just disgusting commentary down below this video. So I'm going to step away from it. But that said, it was huge. Those two things definitely have dominated our attention here in Russia since the start of August. There definitely have been a few other stories. A senator just the other day was arrested for attempting to kill a person. Well, for trying to put a hit out on somebody connected to him. There's an old business deal gone wrong. It's been entertaining, but again, politicians here have been getting arrested a lot recently, in the past as well too, but it's really stepped up recently. So yeah, realistically though, I just wanted to come out, give an update on the YouTube situation. I'm sure some of you probably have seen some stuff about this, or maybe heard about this already from other YouTubers here in Russia. And if not, then you're getting it from me here. It's possible I left out some details. If that's the case and somebody puts it down below, I appreciate that. It's hard to come out and just do all this without a bunch of notes in front of me, just kind of going off the top of my head with all the information as well as I remember it. I hope you haven't gotten motion sickness as I just walk in circles here. I haven't gotten dizzy, but we're getting to that point. And yeah, I love motorcycles, that's for sure. I haven't done news in a while. I think in the future, instead of doing large news videos, I'll try to do short little updates when something big happens or when a few smaller things happen. That way it keeps it more thematical and a little bit easier to do. And then yeah, I know I mentioned it a while back, music video is coming out soon, not with me singing and dancing, but with me telling you what music from Russia here you might be worth checking out. I'm going to just be getting out in the city as well. It's just been, like I said, I've been busy. Got my hair cut, hey, that's fun. And yeah, I'm rambling right now. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. It's getting close to dinner time, so I should probably head home as well. And yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, all that fun stuff. And you take care of yourselves. This has been Russian Context. Thanks for watching.